The richest place on earth isn't a diamond mine in Africa or an oil field in Saudi Arabia. It's not buried in the vaults of Swiss banks or hidden in offshore accounts. The wealthiest place on earth is the graveyard. He was buried there under those silent tombstones. Like brilliant books never written, groundbreaking inventions never created, world-changing businesses never started, and revolutionary ideas never realized. The graveyard is the sacred storage of unfulfilled dreams, an eternal vault of unrealized potential, all killed by one silent assassin, lazy. But what makes this tragedy even more devastating is that these dreams didn't die because of lack of talent or absence of opportunity. They perished because their owners chose Netflix over hustle, social media over focused work, comfort over growth. They died not in dramatic moments of failure, but in quiet moments of compromise, when their bearers decided that tomorrow was a better day to start than today, when later seemed more appealing than now, when the warm embrace of mediocrity felt safer than the challenging path to excellence. The funeral home was packed, but not with mourners. The room buzzed with celebration, laughter, and tales of extraordinary achievement. The deceased, someone's untapped potential, someone's abandoned dreams, someone's excuses, someone's laziness. And as I watch people share stories of how they finally buried their mediocrity, I understood something profound about the epidemic destroying more lives than any disease. Laziness isn't just a habit. It's a silent assassin. It doesn't strike with the drama of a heart attack or the visibility of an accident. It kills dreams quietly, steals potential slowly. It's what makes it truly deadly. It disguises itself as comfort, masks itself as rest. Let me ask you something that might your peace. How many dreams have you buried in the graveyard? I'll do it tomorrow. How many goals lie in the cemetery of I'm not ready yet? How many possibilities have you laid to rest in the tomb of I'm too tired? You see, laziness isn't just about physical inaction. It's not just about sleeping late or avoiding work. It's about something far more sinister, the gradual acceptance of less than what you're capable of becoming. It's the slow death of your potential, one comfortable excuse at a time. You think about an eagle egg. Inside that shell lies the potential for something magnificent, a creature designed to soar above storms, built to ride thermal currents, created to rule the skies. But if that eagle never breaks through its shell, if it never fights through that barrier, if it never struggles through that boundary, it will die in its comfort zone. This shell isn't just a container, it's a test. It's not just a barrier, it's an opportunity. It's not just a boundary, it's the first battle that determines whether that potential becomes reality or remains forever unrealized. Let me share something deeper about comfort that might shake you. Every time you choose comfort over growth, every time you pick easy over excellent, every time you select convenient or challenging, you're not just pausing your progress, you're participating in the burial of your brilliance. If you ever watched a muscle atrophy, it doesn't disappear overnight. It fades gradually, weakens slowly, diminishes daily through lack of use. Your potential works the same way. It doesn't die dramatically, it decays gradually through the disease of comfort. But here's what makes it particularly deadly. Laziness has become sophisticated in our world. It no longer looks like someone sleeping all day or avoiding all work. It now disguises itself as busyness without productivity, motion without movement, activity without achievement. You're busy, aren't you? Your schedule is full. Your days are packed. Your life is hectic. But let me ask you something that might disturb your busy comforts. Are you busy building your dreams or busy burying them? Are you busy moving towards your purpose or busy masking your procrastination? Are you busy creating your future or busy cushioning your comfort zone? Think about water for a moment. When it stops moving, it becomes stagnant. When it becomes stagnant, it becomes toxic. When it becomes toxic, it can no longer support life. Your potential follows the same principle. When you stop stretching, stop growing, stop challenging yourself. You don't just pause, you begin to poison your possibilities. Just where it gets even more dangerous. Laziness has learned to speak the language of wisdom. It says things like, be reasonable when you dream big. It whispers, take it easy when opportunity knocks. It counsels, play it safe when greatness calls. And you know what's worse than being broke? Being broke with $1 million mind. Being hungry with a feast stored in your soul. Being empty with a warehouse of wealth locked in your unused potential. That's not just poverty. That's tragedy. But let me tell you something that might wake you up from your comfortable slumber. Every time you hit the snooze button on your purpose, someone else is cashing in on your portion of prosperity. Every moment you spend scrolling mindlessly through other people's lives, someone else is writing the story you were meant to tell. Every hour you waste in comfortable mediocrity, someone else is claiming the crown that was crafted for your head. You're not just losing time, you're losing territory. You're not just wasting days, you're wasting dominion. You're not just killing time, you're killing the future that was assigned to your potential. Have you ever watched a lion in captivity? It has the same muscles as its wild counterpart, the same teeth, the same raw power. But something is missing, that fierce, untamed essence that makes it the king of the jungle. That's what comfort does to greatness. It doesn't remove your potential. It domesticates it. It doesn't steal your power. It sedates it. Let me show you something about capacity that might change how you see your current condition. Take a glass of water and pour it out. What determines how much it can hold when refilled, not what it currently contains. Your life works the same way. Your current condition doesn't determine your capacity. Your present situation doesn't define your potential. It's where it gets personal. Your capacity isn't just about you. It's connected to generations you'll never meet. It's linked to lives you'll never see. It's tied to destinies you can't even imagine. When you choose laziness, you're not just betraying your own potential. You're betraying everyone who was supposed to be impacted by your greed. Think about the Wright brothers for a moment. What if they had been reasonable? What if they had listened to the sophisticated voice of laziness that said, if humans were meant to fly, they'd have been born with wings. Their laziness wouldn't just have affected them. It would have delayed human aviation. Their comfort wouldn't just have limited their lives. That's the weight of responsibility you carry. That's the magnitude of what's at stake when you choose comfort over calling. That's the significance of what dies when you allow laziness to lull you into limited living. Let me share something even more sobering about this sophisticated poverty. It's inherited. Your children don't just inherit your genes, they inherit your limitations. They don't just inherit your features. They don't just inherit your physical traits. They inherit your threshold for mediocrity. Have you ever noticed how a lion teaches its cubs to hunt? It doesn't give them lectures about hunting techniques. It doesn't show them PowerPoint presentations about pre-patterns. It demonstrates. It lives what it wants them to learn. What are you demonstrating to your world? What are you showing to those watching your life? What message is your living sending to those who will inherit your legacy? Every time you postpone your purpose, you're not just pausing your progress. You're programming a pattern. Every time you choose comfort over calling, you're not just delaying your destiny. You're designing a default. Every time you select easy over excellent, you're not just settling for less. You're setting a standard. If poverty of unused potential doesn't just affect your bank account, it bankrupts your impact. It doesn't just limit your income. It liquidates your influence. It doesn't just reduce your resources, it robs your relevance. Here's what makes this sophisticated poverty particularly sinister. It feels responsible. It looks mature. It appears wise. It says things like, I'm just being realistic when you're really being fearful. It claims I'm being prudent when you're really being paralyzed. It declares I'm being patient when you're really being passive. Have you ever seen a seed refuse to break through the soil because it's comfortable underground? Have you ever witnessed a butterfly decline to emerge from its cocoon because transformation is too demanding? Have you ever observed a bird decide against leaving its nest because flying seems too risky? Because in nature, comfort is not the goal. Contribution is. Rest is not the destination, growth is. Why then do you settle for less than what you were designed to be? Why do you accept a fraction of what you were created to achieve? Why do you embrace the shadow of what you were destined to become? It's not just a personal choice, it's a universal crime. It's not just an individual decision. It's a generational disaster. It's not just a private matter. Because somewhere, someone is waiting for what you carry. Somewhere, someone is praying for what you're postponing. Somewhere, someone is desperate for what you're delaying. When was the last time you were truly hungry? Not the kind of hunger that sends you to the refrigerator, but the kind of hunger that keeps you up at night. The kind that makes you restless. The kind that makes comfort feel like a prison and mediocrity taste like poison. That hunger, that raw, unrelenting, unstoppable hunger is your birthright. It's not just an appetite. It's your internal alarm system telling you that you were created for more than mere existence. You were designed for more than survival. You were crafted for more than comfort. But something happens to us. We start substituting achievement for advancement. We start mistaking motion for momentum. We start confusing activity with accomplishment. And slowly, subtly, systematically, we lose our hunger. Look at your life right now. Look at your daily routine. Look at your regular habits. Are they feeding your future or just maintaining your present? Are they fueling your potential or just sustaining your comfort? Are they igniting your greatness or just preserving your mediocrity? Here's something that might disturb your peace. Comfort is not your ally. It's not your supporter. Comfort is a seductive assassin that kills dreams while singing lullabies to your potential. Think about fire for a moment. Fire doesn't maintain its intensity by itself. It needs constant feeding. It requires regular stoking. It demands continuous attention. Your hunger for excellence works the same way. Either you feed it or it dies. Either you fuel it or it fades. Either you stoke it or it smothers. This is particularly challenging. We live in a world that celebrates comfort. We're surrounded by messages that promote ease. We're bombarded by advertisements that promise convenience. And slowly, our hunger gets domesticated. Our fire gets dimmed. It doesn't happen dramatically. You don't wake up one morning and decide to be mediocre. You don't consciously choose to be average. You don't intentionally select smallness over significance. It happens gradually. One small compromise at a time. One tiny concession at a time. One little settlement at a time. Until one day you look in the mirror and barely recognize the fire that once burned in your eyes. But here's the good news. Just fire can be rekindled. Hunger can be reawakened. Just as passion can be reignited, drive can be restored. Just as purpose can be rediscovered. The first step is recognition. You have to recognize that your comfort zone isn't a place of rest. It's a place of rust. It's not a haven. It's a grave. A second step is rejection. You have to reject the sophisticated excuses that comfort offers. You have to reject the reasonable justifications that mediocrity presents. You have to reject the logical arguments that average provides. Think about an airplane for a moment. Before it can soar, it has to reject the comfort of the ground. Before it can fly, it has to reject the safety of the runway. Before it can reach its destination, it has to reject the security of staying still. That step is revolution. Not just change. Revolution, not just improvement, transformation. Not just modification, metamorphosis. This revolution starts in your mind. It begins with your thoughts. It commences with your beliefs. Because here's something profound about hunger. It's not just physical, it's psychological. It's not just emotional, it's intellectual. It's not just spiritual, it's mental. You have to revolutionize how you think about comfort. You have to revolutionize how you view ease. You have to revolutionize how you perceive convenience. Comfort is not your friend. It's your limitation. Ease is not your ally. It's your enemy. Convenience is not your supporter. Fourth step is reconstruction. You have to rebuild your standards. You have to reconstruct your expectations. You have to reestablish your thresholds. Think about muscle growth. Muscles don't grow in comfort. They grow under stress. They develop under pressure. They strengthen under resistance. Your potential operates under the same principle. But here's what makes this reconstruction powerful. It's not just about doing more. It's about becoming more. It's about advancing more. It's not just about getting more. It's about growing more. The final step is resurrection. You have to resurrect your original hunger. You have to revive your initial fire. You have to restore your primary drive. Remember when you first started? Remember that raw hunger? Remember that unstoppable drive? Remember that unquenchable thirst for more? That wasn't just emotion. That was your authentic self trying to emerge. That hunger wasn't just ambition. It was assignment. That fire wasn't just passion. It was purpose. That drive wasn't just motivation. It's still there. Under the layers of comfort, beneath the sediment of ease, beyond the facade of convenience. Your original hunger is waiting to be resurrected. Let me ask you something that might ignite that resurrection. What would happen if you lived one day with absolute conviction that comfort was your enemy? What would you attempt if you knew that ease was your adversary? What would you pursue if you understood that convenience was your... You see, hunger isn't just about wanting more. It's about refusing less. It's not just about desiring better. It's about rejecting mediocre. It's not just about seeking excellence. This is your moment of resurrection. This is your time of rekindling. Drop a stone in still water and watch what happens. The impact creates ripples that expand outward, growing larger, affecting more area than the original point of contact. Every action you take, every decision you make, every choice you embrace creates ripples that extend far beyond your immediate circumstances. The same is true of inaction. Every time you choose not to act, every time you decide to wait, every time you opt for delay, you're not just affecting your present. You're creating ripples of regret that will reach shores you cannot yet see. Let me show you something about momentum that might change how you approach every morning. Your life right now, at this very moment, is the accumulated result of your chosen responses to every opportunity you've ever encountered. Not just the big decisions, every single choice. The decision to wake up early or hit snooze. The choice to push through fatigue or yield to comfort. The selection between growth and ease. Think about a space shuttle for a moment. Do you know when it uses the most fuel? Not in space. Not while cruising. It uses the most fuel in the first few minutes of launch, breaking through the atmosphere, overcoming gravity, generating initial momentum. Your journey works the same way. The hardest part isn't maintaining success. It's breaking through the atmosphere of average. It's not sustaining momentum. It's starting it. It's not keeping going. It's getting going. Once that shuttle breaks through the atmosphere, it requires significantly less fuel to maintain its course. Once it overcomes initial resistance, it can travel incredible distances with minimal additional energy. This is the power of momentum. This is the miracle of motion. This is the magic of maintained movement. But you can't access this power, experience this miracle, or tap into this magic while sitting in comfort's cockpit, running pre-flight checks forever. There's something deeper about motion that might shake you. Everything in the universe is either growing or dying. Everything is either advancing or retreating. Everything is either expanding or contracting. There's no neutral. There's no pause. There's no maintenance mode. Look at your muscles. When you stop using them, they don't maintain. They atrophy. Look at your mind. When you stop challenging it, it doesn't preserve. It deteriorates. Look at your relationships. When you stop nurturing them, the same principle applies to your potential. When you stop pushing, you're not just pausing. You're perishing. When you stop growing, you're not just maintaining. You're dying. When you stop advancing, you're not just resting, you're retreating. But here's what makes this particularly crucial. The gap between where you are and where you could be is not just a distance. It's a debt. It's not just a measurement. It's a mortgage. It's not just a space. Every day, you choose comfort over growth. You're not just missing an opportunity. You're accumulating a deficit. Every time you select ease over excellence, you're not just losing time. Every moment, you pick convenient over challenging. You're not just wasting potential. Think about compound interest for a moment. The power isn't in the initial investment. It's in the consistent contribution combined with time. Your potential works the same way. The power isn't in occasional bursts of effort. It's in consistent, persistent, and consistent action over time. But here's the paradox that paralyzes men. We overestimate what we can do in a day and underestimate what we can achieve in a year. We want immediate results but neglect consistent action. We desire instant transformation but avoid daily discipline. Let me show you something about transformation that might revolutionize your approach. Take a piece of paper and fold it in half. Now fold it in half again. Again and again. If you could fold that paper 50 times, which is physically impossible, do you know how thick it would be? It would reach from earth to the sun. That's the power of compound growth. That's the miracle of consistent action. That's the magic of persistent progress. But here's what most people miss. The most significant growth happens in the later folds. So the dramatic transformation occurs after consistent action creates that you can't access this power. While starting over every Monday, you can't tap into this potential while taking 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. You can't leverage this principle while dancing between commitment and comfort. Look at water again. At 211 degrees, it's hot. At 212 degrees, it boils. And with boiling comes steam. And with steam comes power. 1 degree makes the difference between hot water and power generation. Your life operates on the same principle. Small differences consistently applied create dramatic distinctions. Minor adjustments persistently maintained generate major achievements. Tiny changes continually executed produce tremendous transformations. But it's what makes this particularly powerful. Once water starts boiling, it doesn't take the same energy to keep it boiling as it did to get it there. Once momentum is established, it doesn't require the same effort to maintain it as it did to. Once progress becomes habitual, it doesn't demand the same force to continue as it did to commence. This is where most people miss their moment. They stop at 211 degrees. They quit before momentum kicks in. They surrender before consistency creates supernatural results. Let me ask you something that might change your next decision. What if the breakthrough you're seeking is just 1 degree away? What if the transformation you're pursuing is just one choice beyond your comfort? What if the success you're chasing is just one decision past your current pattern? You see, momentum isn't just about moving. It's about moving with increasing force. It's not just about action. It's about accelerating action. It's not just about progressive. Walk with me through a cemetery. Read the tombstones. What do you see? 2 dates separated by a dash. That dashed, that small, simple line between birth and death represents an entire life. But here's the question that should shake you awake. What are you doing with your dash? Because one day your life will be reduced to that same symbol. One tiny mark representing all your decisions, all your actions, all your choices. And when that day comes, the only thing that will matter is what you did with the time you had. Not what you planned. Not what you intended. Not what you hoped. Let me tell you something profound about legacy that most people miss. It's not created in the big moments. It's built in the small decisions. It's not forged in the spotlights. It's not made in the mountaintop experiences. It's shaped in the valley of daily discipline. Think about a master sculptor working on a masterpiece. Every tiny chip, every small cut, every minor detail contributes to the final work. Your legacy works the same way. Every choice you make, every action you take, every decision you embrace is either carving excellence into your legacy or chipping away at your potential. But here's what makes this particularly crucial. Your legacy isn't just about what you leave behind. It's about who you become in the process of creating something worth leaving. It's not just about the footprints you leave. It's not just about the marks you make. It's about the trail you blaze. Let me share something deeper about impact that might change how you view your daily choices. Every great achievement that has ever transformed human history started with one person refusing to be average. Every breakthrough that has ever advanced human progress began with one individual rejecting mediocrity. Your life right now is someone else's history book. Your choices today are someone else's heritage. Your decisions this moment are someone else's inheritance. But here's the question that should haunt you. What sort of heritage are you creating? What type of inheritance are you building? Think about seeds for a moment. When a farmer plants a seed, they're not just planting a crop. They're planting a future. They're not just sowing for a season. They're sowing for generations. They're not just investing in growth. Your choices work the same way. Every time you choose excellence over ease, you're not just making a decision. You're planting a seed. Every time you select growth over comfort, every time you pick purpose over convenience, you're not just making a selection, you're investing in legacy. So here's what makes this particularly powerful. Seeds don't care about your mood. They don't respond to your feelings. They don't react to your emotions. They only know one thing. You reap what you sow, more than you sow, later than you sow. I ask you something that might change your perspective. For every choice you make today is a seed that would grow into the forest of your future. What if every decision you embrace right now is a seed that will blossom into the garden of your legacy? What if every action you take in this moment is a seed? Because here's the truth about legacy that most people never grasp. It's not built in retirement. It's not created in your spare time. It's not crafted when convenient. Legacy is built in the moments when you choose purpose over comfort, excellence over ease, significance over convenience. Think about the grand cathedrals of Europe. Many took over 100 years to build. The architects who designed them, the craftsmen who started them, the workers who laid the first stones, none of them lived to see the completion of their work. But they built anyway. They created anyway. They contributed anyway. Your legacy demands the same vision, the same commitment, the same dedication. Because you're not just building for your lifetime, you're building for lifetimes you'll never see. You're not just creating for your generation, you're creating for generations you'll never meet. You're not just working for your time. You're working for times you'll never know. But here's the final truth about legacy that should set your soul on fire. Your greatest contribution to history might not be something you do. It might be someone you raise. It might not be something you create. It might be someone you inspire. It might not be something you build. This is your moment. This is your time. This is your season. Not to exist, but to excel. Not to survive, but to thrive. But to leave a legacy. Because one day, all that will be left of your life is that dash between two dates on a tombstone. The only question that remains is, what will your dash represent? Will it speak of comfort or courage? Will it tell of ease or excellence? Will it whisper of convenience or significance? The choice is yours. The time is now. The legacy awaits. You're not just living a life. You're creating a legacy. You're not just passing through time. You're leaving a trail. You're not just existing in history. You're writing it. Make your dash count. Make your mark matter. Make your legacy last.